particularly powerful commentary on the truth. But also, I love the way it ends, because when we stop lying, we get out of prison. And without meaning to, what we're often doing when we make up a story is we're trying to avoid being in prison when there actually isn't a prison to be in. Mm-hmm. But how many of you, when you were very little, were told, if you do that, you will be in trouble? And trouble is a big word. It's the kind of trouble you don't want to be in because it could kill you. I might not have said that, but that was the implication. I will beat you. I will hurt you. I will put you in a room. I will separate you from everyone that you love. I will do something to you that's so severe that you're going to wonder if you can survive it. And the answer to that is, I'm not taking that kind of chance. Whatever the lie is, I'll make it up. I'll be good. So, we're getting an agreement here. When we lie, as Judith said, we're preserving an idea about ourselves that's not true. That is, that if we lie once, just once, we're doomed. I can remember having been, and I've told you this before, I was in a 17-year internship, or it was a marriage, but it was an internship. I was learning. But when that internship ended, the thing that I felt more than sad and sorry was that I had failed. And that you're not supposed to have those things fail. You're supposed to be together forever, and that's just it. And if you can't be together forever, there's a big stamp on your head that says failed, which also means no other human being should ever trust you in a relationship. It's all over. Well, we've gotten a lot more flexible in the last 30 years, and things have become very different because so many more people have gotten divorced. But there was a time when if you got a divorce, it was just one of many failures that if you had that kind of failure on your life resume, you would go to some sort of real hell. So what I want to speak to is the fear people have that if they don't say the right thing at the right time, the repercussions will be so severe that they won't be able to manage it. Now, the truth is that's not so. And I'm going to take you to one of my favorite heroes, Albert Ellis, who was a famous psychiatrist who founded cognitive therapy. And Albert Ellis said, we're always doing the best we can given what we know and given what we believe. And when we know different and we believe different, we can do different. But until we know different and we believe different, we're stuck. So let's look at it in relationship to science of mind. So we would say, see it in your mind, say it, feel it, know it, and it's true. Unless underneath it is, but not for me. You see, because I really don't deserve it. One of the benefits of treatment is that when you do the treatment, you say, I see it, I see this good thing happening, I feel this good thing happening, I know this good thing happening, but what's wrong inside? I feel restless and uncomfortable, like hiding. Because you know there's a greater truth, and the truth is you don't believe it. The truth is you're stuck on an early belief you've had for a very long time, that once you've made a mistake, it's over for you. And we live with that kind of fear, catastrophe fear all the time. Now, one of the things Albert Ellis said that I really love, he said, whenever you have a fear, take it to the worst possible possibility, the worst. And then ask yourself a simple question, what are the odds? You see, very often when you go to the worst possibility, they'll kill me, they'll just kill me. For a traffic infraction? Well, maybe not. But as the officer's walking toward the car, going to ask me for my license, what I feel like, it's over for me, I will be in prison for the rest of my life. But what are the odds it's actually going to happen? Well, not very good. So our fear, our reaction is to an unknown belief we have about ourselves that's eroding the creative possibilities for us living. So another way of looking at that is, you're going to have to fail a lot of times in the direction of success. And that sounds crazy, but you're going to have to keep failing until you've succeeded to learn all the ways not to do a thing. Unless you've got, I'd like to do this, I'd like to learn how to play the guitar. I sure would. But I can't afford to miss any notes. It's going to be tough. Well, I've got to get it right the first time, you see, because the stakes are high. If I'm seen doing it badly, if I don't catch on very quickly, if I don't have that innate talent that allows me to do it perfectly the first time around, I obviously can't do this. I'm not designed for this. I'm not right for this. There's something wrong with me. Really? So you're going to have to fail forward a lot of times before you can succeed. And the problem is that we think we have to succeed forward every time. Our resume has to be perfect. And the truth is your resume has to have a lot of things in it that were learning opportunities for you. And if they're not learning opportunities, you apparently didn't learn much. You have to struggle and see what's next. Now, some of you think that if you have innate talent, it's innate talent. I tell stories. Bob, you have this innate talent for telling stories. No, actually, I developed it to survive my childhood. So I became a storyteller because it was one of the ways I could live, not because it was a good idea. But I practiced, and I tell you, I got it wrong a lot of times. I know, because I got a lot of spankings. Because until I practiced and got the stories right, I was in trouble. So we have to know that we can make up whatever we make up to make it work in our favor, but we can also live in favor of that life is not fatal because we make a mistake. And I see that again and again. People will often come to me with one treatment need or another. And when I go back, I say, well, tell me when things started breaking down. Well, a long time ago, you see, I lied, I cheated, and I've never gotten over that. Have you stopped doing that? Oh, I stopped doing that years ago. Well, why can't you separate? No, once you've lied and cheated, you're just a liar and a cheat. In fact, I can go back to my ex and she'll say, he was a liar and a cheat, still is. Oh, yeah. Have you lied and cheated in the last 30, 40, 50? No, not once. But what about, see, it's back there. I remember in 5th grade, I copied from the kid next to me. That's it. You're a cheat. When you believe that, and the emotion's strong, it's a hard thing to overcome. But the problem is not that. The problem is that we stuff that, bury that, and pretend it's not true. And because we don't know that it's true, it operates behind the scenes. So that's one of the benefits with Albert Ellis when he says, go to your worst possible fear. When Judith was talking about the closing, it looked like we weren't going to close on this condo at all. What's the worst possible thing that can happen? We'll have to make another choice. We'll find another condo. Oh, that's not so bad. Not nearly as bad as thinking about this not actually succeeding and I don't know what. See, the I don't know what when you actually go there is usually not what. It's not going to happen. So if we're going to have impeccability with our word, we have to realize we're not that vulnerable when we make a mistake and we can own it. I love Judith's story about the watches. I was in another EST seminar at a similar time at another staff. Actually, I was in Canada taking the same course as she was taking. And the trainer said, okay, all the watches, I want them all turned in now. You have to sign the paper. We all signed the paper. Next day, the woman next to me had a watch. I knew there was something wrong with her. I could tell. I looked at her, wanted to move away. She was one of the ones with watches. Somebody else pointed out that she had a watch. They pointed at her. She has a watch. And then she said, with conviction, it only has one hand. I couldn't believe it. Oh, that's not like that's an irregular watch. I can continue to wear it. It only has one hand. How far will we go to protect our interest when our interest is not at stake? Judith's unspoken fear was that she'd never see that 18-karat watch again, which was unfounded. What are the odds you're going to pay more than a fortune for a seminar that lasts for 2 days that's all about integrity and they're going to steal your watch? Really? I don't think so. But the fear is there, and the fear is unspoken. I'm not taking this off, and I don't want to go there. So we have a lot of unspoken fears that dictate what we say, and because that is constantly going on in the background, it becomes very difficult for us to have integrity. It becomes very difficult for us to keep our word. So here's something else we seem to have to do. I have been, probably more times than I'd like to, a liar and a cheater and whatever you can think of growing up. I know I've been all those things. But if I can't accept those things, I'm going to have to make up a story that has those things not be what they were. And if I can make up that story perfectly enough, none of those things actually happened. In which case I have no word and no integrity at all, but I feel pretty good. I might need a drink or two. But the truth is, I've talked myself right out. I didn't actually cheat. I was in the room naked, and she came in, and I couldn't say no. My wife wasn't there. Nor was my girlfriend. gee, it wasn't my fault. I am making this up, okay? But that's what we do. So we make up a story. And eventually the story is so confusing, it's hard to keep our word because we don't know what's true. And so I invite people to start telling better stories so they can get to the truth. Make up a story, any kind of story you want about your life, and watch how different it is than the life. And actually what happens when you start making up stuff about yourself, there's another part, and that didn't happen that way, it happened this way. You never admitted that before, I know, but now you're making up a story. So there's a part of you that's older than you are, that's been watching all along, that knows what you did. And that you is sitting there thinking, no, I don't think so. You don't deserve that ice cream. Really? Yeah, because when you didn't have enough money for 2 ice cream cones, you stood out back, ate one of them yourself, and then came back and said, I don't have any more money. You cheated on ice cream, you don't deserve ice cream anymore. Not ever again. Wow. As long as you can't get over that, you can't get behind it, and you're in the prison that he was in. Now, something else on his side that I think is really beautiful. Morgan Freeman, up until that movie, he'd been in movies before. But
tell him what the movie was.
Yeah, Shawshank Redemption. It's a great movie. And it bombed at the box office. But he then got jobs doing the narration that he just did. Because when he talks, he's so sincere and so real. So he got out of another prison. He got out of the prison of being black, being typecasted as a prisoner in a movie. They didn't cast him as somebody who wasn't. But what ends up happening is because he could step beyond that, he could bring his gifts forward, his entire career changed. He's played God now ever since then, a number of times. That's quite a quantum leap, you know. God doesn't know, but I mean, it's okay. Isn't that amazing now? When you think about what happens when you set aside the idea that you're limited because of what you've done or where you've been or what's happened to you, then what becomes possible is whatever you choose. I want to change the metaphor again. I love playing chess. Any of you play chess? It's a great game. It's a great game because it's a great game not of winning and losing, it's a game of strategy. You don't announce to your partner all the things you're going to do, and your partner doesn't announce what they're going to do. You dance together for as long as you can, matching wits and creativity and imagination with one move after another. And if you both play well, you both end up friends and one of you gets to win that game, but not every game. So chess is an interesting game because it's a game of integrity. You can't cheat. It's a game of strategy. You have to plan and think ahead. And you just don't get a chance to stop. Well, I'm really upset with you because you took my pawn. And now that you've taken my pawn, I'm going to tell you what I think of you. And you should never do that again. It's not how the game is played. So what you have to do is play the game according to the rules. Keep your word as you're playing the game. Your partner, if they keep their word and they play the game, it's an extraordinary game. It's just a game. But you get to use your skills. You get to dance together. You get to see how things work in another way. But you don't have to tell all. In fact, it's not a good idea. One of the biggest mistakes I see people making is that when they trust somebody, they tell them more than they should. They tell them things that have nothing to do with them. That's no one else's business but their business. And they do it because they'll say things like, well, you know, now that I trust you, I should tell you everything. Not really. Because there's things I can tell you that you won't understand. And if you don't have an understanding, why should I tell you? What would you do with that? What value does that have? So giving and keeping your word means taking your word seriously and not just giving it away like it doesn't mean something, but giving it to another person like it's a cherished thing that has value to you. And when you give it to another person and it has value for you. People that tell you too much about themselves are really loose with words. How can they be then strong with outcome? They give it to you. Judith mentioned emotional throwing up. Well, I'm just telling you how I feel. No, actually, that's not true. We had somebody recently who got very upset with us, and she said to us, I want to get together with a third party so we can have an emotional healing. What would that look like? Well, first off, I'd like to go through everything you did wrong. And after I get done listing everything you did wrong and I feel better about it, I'd like you to admit that you were wrong. And once you've admitted that you were wrong and you feel really bad about it, it won't be over, but I'll feel better. So this is emotional healing. It is for me. What will it be for me? I don't care about you. I got it. I'm not in the equation. So it's really important that we understand the power of our word, that we use it with loving care, we use it with consciousness, we use it with thoughtfulness, we even use it strategically. If you think about a well-written poem, there's no word that isn't well thought out. And when you get done, you say, that is beautiful. Well, why wouldn't you like your conversations to be somewhat like that? Why do you think that a person wants to read beautiful poetry, but you can throw up whatever you want to and they'll be happy with it? No. They want your honesty, but they want your thoughtful honesty. They want you to be thoughtful enough of yourself that you would feel good about your sharing, that you would have integrity in your word for you. So my message today is not about you with other people, it's about you with you. It's about you valuing your words for yourself and your integrity for you, because how important it is for you to have words you can live with, that you can live in, that you can live through. That the things you say would empower you so wonderfully, so powerfully, so perfectly, that you can't wait to see what's going to happen next. We give ourselves away to people who don't care and accuse them of not caring, when we have modeled not caring. We need to be the model of caring to the point where we care so much about ourselves and our thoughts and our ideas and our emotions and our heart and our soul that another person with us has to bring that to the game as well. And we decide together how we're going to be together rather than I'm here, you're here, we're both lonely, take care of me. And I see that a lot. And so this is an opportunity for you to look at what you can do to make what we call treatment, which is prayer, affirmative prayer, work. And the way affirmative prayer works is you say a thing and then check to see if you believe it. And if you believe it, you've got one thing underway. And if you don't believe it, go back and make some changes. Then feel it. Feel it like it really means it, like it's true. And because it's a word, say it. Say it to your spouse, say it to your partner, say it to God. I see this, I know this, I feel this is true for me. Actually, there's a part that's not. Let me go back and check that. Let me go back and make the correction. One of the first things we did in the condo that we're moving into was measure to be sure that there was room enough for the things we have, that we want to keep. How many of you have done measurements for the ideas that you want to have come true? Have you measured your living space, your emotional living space, for the thing you say you want to have in it? Some of us have built rooms too small for the things we want to have. It's time to build a larger room, or we can't have what we want. We build it with word, we build it with keeping our word, we build integrity, and no matter how we furnish the last apartment, it's not this one. No matter what junk we bought in the past, we don't have to keep buying it. And emotionally, this is really, really important. If somebody says to you, I remember, didn't you have a Mediterranean couch? Orange with gold? I sure did. What were you thinking? I don't know, but I've changed a lot since then. You mean you're not going to buy? I don't want to be held accountable for that any longer. I did that. I sold that. I got rid of that. What do you have now? Some of us, this is crazy, are still living, I had a Mediterranean couch, I have no taste. It was a trend, I know, but still I shouldn't have had it. Stop holding yourself up for the things that you no longer have that you were smart enough to get rid of after you were smart enough to buy. Really, it's time to change, and to grow up, to grow forward, to fail forward, and you can do it. In fact, you're doing it, and it's an astounding thing to see you do. So with that, because I've used up my time, and I'm going to say thank you, I appreciate all of you being here.